Have you ever wondered how a small, persecuted sect from the fringes of the Roman Empire became its official religion? It's a story filled with drama, danger, and profound philosophical debates. Today, we're diving deep into the incredible journey of the early Christian church, from hiding in catacombs to shaping the very foundations of Western civilization. Let's rewind the clock to just after the life of Jesus. His followers, a handful of disciples, began spreading his teachings. At first, they were just one of many small religious groups in the vast Roman Empire. The Romans were generally tolerant of different religions, as long as everyone also paid respect to the Roman gods and the emperor, who was considered divine. This was a problem for Christians. Their belief in one God meant they couldn't worship the emperor or the Roman pantheon. This refusal wasn't just a religious disagreement. It was seen as an act of political defiance, a rejection of Roman authority. This led to waves of persecution. It wasn't constant, but when it happened, it was brutal. Think of Emperor Nero, who, according to the historian Tacitus, famously blamed Christians for the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD. He used them as scapegoats, subjecting them to horrific public executions. This set a terrifying precedent. Over the next 2.5 centuries, Christians faced sporadic but intense periods of persecution under emperors like Domitian, Trajan, and later, a more systematic empire-wide persecution under Decius and Diocletian. Christians were accused of all sorts of things: atheism for refusing to worship Roman gods, cannibalism because of a misunderstanding of the Eucharist, and general immorality. They were forced to meet in secret, in private homes, or even underground catacombs, which were primarily burial sites. Yet, despite the danger, the faith grew. The steadfastness of martyrs, who died for their beliefs, paradoxically inspired others. Figures like Tertullian, a church leader, famously wrote, "The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church." The community's emphasis on charity, caring for the poor, the sick, and widows, also attracted many converts who felt left behind by the Roman social structure. The message of hope, salvation, and equality in the eyes of God resonated deeply across all social classes, from slaves to aristocrats. Then, in the early 4th century, everything changed. The game changer was an emperor named Constantine. The story goes that on the eve of a crucial battle at the Milvian Bridge in 312 AD, Constantine had a vision. He saw a Christian symbol in the sky, the Chi, the first 2 letters of Christ's name in Greek, and heard a voice say, "In this sign you will conquer." He had his soldiers paint the symbol on their shields. They won the battle, and Constantine attributed his victory to the Christian God. The following year, 313 AD, was a massive turning point. Constantine, along with his co-emperor Licinius, issued the Edict of Milan. This wasn't a decree that made Christianity the state religion, but it did something revolutionary. It granted religious tolerance throughout the empire. For the first time, Christians could worship openly without fear of execution. Persecution officially ended. Constantine went further. He began to favor Christianity, pouring imperial funds into building grand churches, like the original St. Peter's Basilica in Rome and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. He returned confiscated property to Christians and appointed them to high-ranking government positions. Suddenly, being a Christian wasn't just safe, it was becoming advantageous. But this new freedom brought a new set of challenges. When Christians were a small, persecuted group, they were united by their shared struggle. Now that the church was a powerful and public institution, internal disagreements that had been simmering for decades erupted into full-blown controversies. The biggest and most explosive of these debates was about the very nature of Jesus Christ. Was he fully divine, fully human, or some combination of the two? A priest from Alexandria named Arius proposed a teaching that became known as Arianism. He argued that Jesus, the Son, was a created being. He was divine, yes, but not co-eternal, or of the same substance as God the Father. To Arius, there was a time when the Son did not exist. This idea was hugely popular, but deeply troubling to other church leaders, like Bishop Alexander of Alexandria and his deacon Athanasius. They argued that if Jesus was a created being, he wasn't fully God, and if he wasn't fully God, he couldn't offer complete salvation. This wasn't just academic hair-splitting. It struck at the heart of Christian belief. The debate became so fierce it threatened to tear the church, and by extension the empire, apart. Emperor Constantine, who wanted religious unity for the sake of political stability, couldn't stand for this. So he did something unprecedented. In 325 A.D., he convened the first ever ecumenical council, a gathering of bishops from all over the Christian world. This was the Council of Nicaea. Imagine hundreds of bishops, many of whom still bore the scars of persecution, missing eyes, scarred limbs, traveling at the emperor's expense to the city of Nicaea. They were there to settle this fundamental question of faith. The council, presided over by Constantine himself, was a heated affair. After much debate, the vast majority of bishops rejected Arius's teachings. To codify their decision, they drafted a statement of faith, a creed. This became the basis for what we know today as the Nicene Creed. The key phrase in this creed was homoousios, a Greek word meaning of the same substance, or consubstantial. The creed declared that Jesus, the Son, was homoousios with the Father. This meant he was not a created being, but was fully and eternally God, just like the Father. This was a direct refutation of Arianism. The Council of Nicaea was a pivotal moment. It showed the emperor stepping in to resolve a church dispute, a model that would be repeated for centuries. And it established the practice of using councils and creeds to define orthodox, or correct, belief. But Nicaea didn't end the debate. Arianism remained popular for decades, and emperors who came after Constantine even supported it. More councils were held to address other theological questions. The First Council of Constantinople in 381 A.D. reaffirmed and expanded the Nicene Creed, clarifying the divinity of the Holy Spirit. Later, the Council of Chalcedon in 451 A.D. would tackle the question of how Jesus' divine and human natures coexisted. These councils and their resulting creeds were the Church's way of building theological fences, defining what was inside the bounds of Orthodox Christianity and what was outside. While these debates were raging, the Church's relationship with the state continued to evolve. The final step came in 380 A.D. under Emperor Theodosius I. He issued the Edict of Thessalonica, which did what Constantine hadn't. It made Nicene Christianity the official state religion of the Roman Empire. Now, all other religions, including the traditional Roman paganism and other Christian heresies like Arianism, were officially suppressed. Temples were closed, and in some cases, destroyed. In less than a century, Christianity had gone from a persecuted faith to the persecuting faith. The roles were completely reversed. The once marginalized sect was now the dominant official religion of the most powerful empire in the world. This fusion of church and state, sometimes called the Constantinian shift, had massive and long-lasting consequences. The church gained immense wealth, power, and influence. Its organizational structure, with bishops in major cities, began to mirror the empire's administrative structure. But it also lost some of its countercultural edge. The line between being a Roman citizen and a Christian became blurred. From a small group of disciples in Jerusalem to the official religion of the Roman Empire, the journey of the early church is a testament to its resilience, its message, and its ability to adapt. It survived persecution, navigated internal schisms, and ultimately intertwined its destiny with that of the empire itself. The debates at Nicaea and Chalcedon didn't just define Christian theology. They laid the intellectual groundwork for centuries of Western thought. The legacy of this period, the good and the bad, is still with us today, shaping our culture, our laws, and our understanding of the world. Thank you so much for watching. This is a huge topic, and we've only scratched the surface. What part of this story do you find most fascinating? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through history, please give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the past. See you next time.